Hello, so welcome to the stream. As I said last week, I'm going to start trying to stream a bit more regularly. The normal videos will still be up on Wednesday, Fridays and Sundays at 5 PM UK time, but what I want to do is try and actually stream a bit more often. You know, when I'm just got a bit of time at some points during the day. Now this is why I'm streaming at 5 PM today, because I'm out this evening, which is why I do the Tuesday streams now rather than Monday streams. But what I want to do is throughout the week, just now and again, try and do sort of stream for about an hour, you know, just at random times, so some people can catch the streams that wouldn't normally be able to catch them. What's that for then? This is the Soviet TBF. Yeah, I thought if I put the mask on during the start of it, some more people might be like, "Oh, well, what's this? Let's click on it." There's still a debate whether or not this cheek filters in the M10 has asbestos in it. I really don't know, but I probably already caused myself too much damage at this stage, so I've sort of thought, why not? Oh, that's whitening out a bit on there. Is that gonna... I might just play about with the properties and see if I can turn the brightness down slightly, because it looks like it's a bit overly bright, or maybe it's a contrast, I'm not sure. So, is that any better? I'll put the brightness down slightly as well. Right, let's try it at that and see if that looks any better. I'm just hoping it doesn't white out too much, because sometimes with the webcam it can white out a bit. As I said, I will be buying a better webcam, but I'll probably do it after payday. Hey Callum, nice to see you've got your mod thing on, and Richard, you've both got your little mod gears next to your name. Mike said he might be on this stream from about past onward. I'm going to go for about an hour, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, it does have a weird smell to this, I can smell that. It's not an unpleasant smell, it kind of reminds me of a sanitizer kind of smell, but I don't know why it smells like that. No, I don't have a black PBF. I've got another PBF on order, because I'm going to do a modification video to it, as somebody requested in the comments. However, I think it's going to be another white PBF. Yeah, that one. I think it's because the actual cheek filter spaces on both of these are bigger than the filters themselves. But yeah, it's because the cheek filter pouches are bigger than the actual cheek filters on the PBF. That's the only reason why. So yeah, you've got like bonus room in the cheeks on the PBF for some reason, I don't know why. What did you post under it? A lot of the time comments just disappear. No, I'm just doing this because it looks more interesting than just having a regular, you know, my face. I actually wonder, let me try this. I'm not going to stretch my new glasses, but I'm just wondering if they sort of sit on there. Oh, apparently the connection has gone down with OBS. Can you still hear me? It's back up, is it? I don't know why OBS did that. Just click the live thing. I was going to post that in the comments, and people haven't seen that you click live. Yeah, I'm going to keep them on because they look funny. Actually, no, I won't. I don't want to risk damaging the new glasses. So what did I miss? Somebody was saying, I'll show that comment because it got held. Alright, cool, Stalker, I'll check that out at some point. I thought your other video was very good, like the comparing the pictures. You know, to like the real life places. What country is your school's gym in then, Rufus? I like most of the camo uniforms from World War II. Yeah, the PBF is technically the best of all the Soviet masks in terms of quality of the components. It's just a shame. It's a cheek filter mask. If they made this mask with 40mm, like just two 40mm ports on each side, it had been really good, but sadly they didn't. Yeah, thankfully Reaper, mine's not as bad as that. I respond pretty well to the medication I'm on and everything. So yeah, I don't have to have that, but obviously I have to keep getting it monitored, and I have to take daily medication, I have to take daily pain medication. Okay, yeah, that makes sense if you're in Russia, I guess, then, Rufus, and the Soviet masks laying around. I still thought that was a very good video, though, Stalker Experience. Actually, I can turn maybe the... I'll turn the computer fan down, so it's not as loud during the stream. Yeah, that's probably the shipping boxes, because if you find videos of people opening all the GP5 crates, they're all like in boxes like that when they were delivered to like the bunkers and everything. That's cool, Alex, if it's genuine and not something that somebody's claiming to sell it for more money. Alright, Stu, hope you're alright. That sounds cool, Jack. There's PMK1, PMK2 and PMK3 as far as I'm aware. That's alright, I'm wearing the gas mask for the start of the stream. Tell you what I can do with this one. I can do that. It's not an NBC suit, it's just my jacket with the hood. Was it a big crate though? Was it just a case of all of them had been taken out of the crate but one? Because that would make sense to me, but it would make sense if there was just one mask packed in the crate unless somebody put the mask in there. Well, you're not going to be able to yourself make the mask's latex more comfortable. I'm going to do a video on that, Aranda. I've got another PBF coming and I'm going to do a DIY project on it. It probably won't work very well, but I'm going to try it because some people requested it. That sounds interesting, Alex. No, it didn't show up again. You're probably posting something that YouTube's censoring. That's why I can't reply to it. Because there's certain words and whatever, or links that you can't post because YouTube just deletes them. Well, I'd hope Stalker 2 would be a wide open, like, you know, open world game and everything, but as I've said before, I'm not holding my breath, no pun intended, with the gas mask on, about Stalker 2, just simply because I know a lot of the original devs aren't working on it anymore and everything like that. So what I'd want is a big open world with very good combat mechanics, some basic RPG mechanics, you know, very good AI again, hopefully a lot more stable than previous Stalker games, less crashing. However, like I said, I won't hold my breath because I know a lot of the original developers aren't working on it. I don't think I'll need to cut or glue anything, but there were so many of these masks made, it doesn't really matter. It's not like I'm doing it to a valuable World War II mask. That sounds good. Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to make a video, but if you are, that sounds good. Yeah, let me just scroll up in the chat. Yeah, that sounds really stupid, Richard, if you're actually on the map where they deliver to and then they say, oh, we can't deliver to you. Yeah, sounds very interesting though, Rufus. Well, you'll need to ask the comment here, because you keep saying that I hate admins. You keep saying, check out the comment on another video. And I'd have already replied to it if I'd have seen it on another video, so I don't think it's there. Let me just quickly check the comments section, but I haven't spotted anything. I'm just going to search my channel for any comments you've made. Let me just check your exact spelling. Right. No, it says you have no comments on my channel, so I can't reply to a comment that doesn't exist. That's what I've just said I'm going to do, Reaper. Or getting hoses into it anyway. But not on this PBF. I've got a damaged PBF on order that was really cheap because it's missing parts, so I'm just going to do it with that one. It's not exactly hard, is it? You just put it on your head and keep it on. Weirdly enough, this is not a Stalker stream, but hello. As far as I'm aware, Stalker experience, the masks in Stalker that are also in the game, there's the ones that look like the PBF but with the two filters on each side, like external filters. There's the XM40. There's the either S10 or FM12 with dual filters being worn by the exoskeletons. There's also like a PBF that has a panoramic lens on it that goes across. Oh, that sounds cool, Callum. No problem, Reaper. It's just sometimes on streams I get people who just keep asking the same questions. Sometimes it is the case that they just simply miss me hearing it, but sometimes I just get people doing it because they don't bother listening. Yeah, exactly, Alex. I've never kept a mask on for 7 hours. The longest I think I've probably kept a mask on was when I did a charity fun run when I was back at school, like sixth form. And that would have been like 2 to 3 hours I had the mask on. That was an S10. And I had a full NBC suit on with it. That's pretty uncomfortable running or jogging in an NBC suit and a mask for an extended period. But yeah, you can do it. I'm glad you enjoyed the videos a lot of time. When you say a Mark III lightweight, do you mean the light anti-gas respirator? Because the Mark III lightweight, as far as I'm aware, is very hard to get. There's the Mark 1 and 2, Mark 1 and Mark 2 LEG. They're the common ones. The Mark III is very rare, so if it is actually a Mark III for 30 quid, get it, definitely. But £30 for a light anti-gas Mark 1 and Mark 2 is pretty good anyway. Not really, because I imagine a lot of dogs wouldn't want to have a mask on. Yeah, there's like mods that add GP5s and things, aren't there? The Stalker, and there's probably other mods that add loads of other masks. Yeah, £10 for an S10 is very good, because it seems to be on eBay now that they're all between £30 and £60, so yeah. Oh yeah, a Mark II, that's still good for £30. It's got a voice diaphragm on it. The only thing I don't like with the old light anti-gas respirators is the straps on them are pretty crap, but other than that, they're good masks. You'll need a 60 to 40mm converter though to use it. No, that'd be very cool, but I've never even heard of that. The 40mm TBF. I've seen a picture of a prototype PMK1 that had a cheek filter rather than having a 40mm filter. Because why not T72? No, just don't do anything with the GP5 filters. Keep them in a cupboard or something. No, I would not mess around with rebreathers myself. And I really don't want to encourage other people to mess around with rebreathers, because I know if I keep doing videos on that, somebody's going to eventually kill themselves doing something stupid with them, and then I'll get blamed for it. So many wanks, but even tanks. All Soviet tanks, so I haven't seen a Chieftain or an Abrams yet, or a Challenger, or a Leopard. I think sometimes there's a guy called like Panzer IV who posts on here as well, but he's not on today. Oh, and Tiger One, haven't seen him. Now we've got 30 people watching now, that's good. Alright, let me have a look at PDF prototype then. There's people debating whether or not that's real or not. Looking at the picture, I can't tell if that's real, to be completely honest with you. To me, it looks like they've cut the cheek filters down on the real TBF. Then they've got two small Soviet filters, and then they've just put some white tape over them, or they've painted it white. I'm going to guess that's not real. In my personal opinion, I would guess that that's a fake image. Well, not a fake image, but the guy's mocked it up. To me, it does look modified, though. It could be real. But, you know, I'm a bit sceptical when some people post pictures like that. I have my condolences, Kiki, but if you're being serious, but yeah, that's why I don't like to do many videos on rebreathers or mess about with them, just because there's a lot more risks associated with them. And because I think I have a lot of viewers that are probably like 10 years old or younger, I really don't want to encourage them to start getting this kind of gear and messing about with it. It's bad enough to keep telling kids not to wear a bloody asbestos filter. So the risks from sadly, if I got too much into rebreather based videos, and I don't really want to even myself, just due to some of the risks of them. Yeah, I quite like heavy metal, but more of the older heavy metal, like 80s metal. Well, if you're buying any kind of surplus mask, I hate admins. The problem is that whatever condition they're going to be in is really going to vary because they're surplus. Like, if you got a surplus mask in perfect condition, there's no problem with it, but you don't get the same guarantees on surplus as you get with like buying something brand new from a shop with all the guarantees. Some Polish MP5 masks are in really good condition, others can be discoloured. Same goes for pretty much any mask. With GP5s, there's no known flaws of the GP5 itself, but bear in mind the GP5 filter does contain asbestos. So if you want to use the mask safely, you're going to have to buy like a Polish FP5 filter or something similar and fit that to the mask. There's actually a prototype N17 that was 40mm or 60mm, but sadly they never produced it like properly. See Alex. That's cool. Is that like one of those big machete knife things, Slingshot Warrior? Weirdly, Richard, I think something like if you put it on thick enough, PVA glue would be like the sort of best type of one, because that's like a plasticky rubber-based glue. You could also use plumbing tape, because that's obviously designed to make airtight seals or watertight seals on materials. But yeah, some sort of rubber-based glue, as Tumbo said. If it's an MSA filter, it won't fit your GP5 because MSA is an American company, so it's going to be in 40mm NATO. The GP5 is a GOST mask. I'd say the GP5M is a better mask than the GP5 simply because it's got a voice diaphragm on it, so other people can hear you more clearly if you have to speak to them. It's not going to be when you're trying to speak. Yeah, rubber washers. You can put a rubber washer, I did a video on this, in like a GP5's intake, and then you can sometimes get NATO filters to work. But it still doesn't seem to be like 100% scientific, whether or not that works or not. Yeah, all GP5s are 40mm, but they're 40mm GOST, not NATO. It's not the same thing. It's like saying my rifle is in 7.62. There's lots of different types of 7.62. Yeah, suddenly blades and bows are all closed, haven't they, because of the stupid knife legislation that's getting brought in. Yes, because a Polish MP5 is a 40mm NATO mask. It's not GOST, because it's after communism. The GP5 is a very mediocre mask. It's just the world's most mass-produced mask. I mean, the thing I do like, Bosley, about the GP5 is obviously how many of them they produced and the fact it is a functional mask. You know, it's got Tissot tubes and everything, so it's not like it's actually a bad mask itself. It's just, in terms of like masks that are more comfortable, have more features and all that go, they're masks that are a hell of a lot better than the GP5. But, you know, the Soviets made over 100 million GP5s. So that kind of stands for something. You know, they could have given everybody one of the masks. Whereas, like Britain and America, we've said, screw making masks for civilians. You know, they're all going to die anyway. But at least the Soviets, despite being pretty evil bastards, with all the gulags and everything else, they did, you know, produce enough respirators for their entire civilian population. I find like the chemical weapons divisions, or like CBRN divisions, are most interesting, because obviously I find the masks interesting. I think it's because with the GP5s and that, because they're those sort of latex hoods, as long as you've not got one that's a bigger size than your head, they're always going to be sort of stretchy. So obviously, for comfort, you want one that's a little bit smaller than your head, but not too much, so it's not having to stretch too much. But yeah, the good thing with helmet-style masks is in an emergency, you can get almost any size fitting you, unlike masks with straps. Yeah, that sounds cool. I don't think I've got any more surplus on order at the moment. No, I haven't. Oh, other than the PBF that's coming and the 2 PDF masks that I'm going to modify. But yeah, at the moment, there's not much on order. I'm tempted to get a new watch for work. As much as I like this Seiko one, I quite want to get a diver watch with a really good lume face. just because there's no loom on this watch. It's really annoying if you're in a dimly lit room or outside at night and you can't see what the time is. Yeah, well, as soon as the mask arrives, which might hopefully be a day this week, I don't actually know, I'll get to work on it straight away. But if it doesn't arrive this weekend, then I'll have to film it next week, and then obviously it's going to be like a month ahead when the video actually gets released. No, I don't actually know T55. I'm not massively into a lot of the World War II German equipment. For long-term comfort and reliability, probably something like a Fushida F2, an Avon FM12. For long-term use, you definitely want something with a drinking tube on it. Maybe an M50, but I don't like those as much. Apparently the Canadian C4 is very good, but I don't have one, so I can't comment. My favourite mask is the Avon CT12, and that's in the FAQ, right beneath this video. Ah, cool. Yep, well, you can use the uranium glass to test if your Geiger counter still works. I don't particularly like cheek filters, but I'm wearing one today for the stream because why not? It looks cool. I think cheek filter masks look good, they're just not very practical. And if anybody's interested, I can probably get this cover off. Maybe not actually when I'm doing the video. Alright, there we go. So if you haven't seen what this looks like under the cover, there's the exhale valve there. And there's the speech diaphragm there. I can't remember if that unscrews actually, that cover. I won't bother playing about with it now. No, I've never tried those darts, Slingshot Warrior. Now, I'll take the mask off now. I'll get that cover back on. Actually, I'll have a look at this little bit on here now I've got the mask. That's made my hair go all funny. I need to definitely cut my hair soon. Right, there we go. That's come off. So yeah, that rotates. There you go. There's your speech diaphragm under there. Oop. And it's rolled out onto the floor. Or the washer has anyway. The speech diaphragm's still in there. You have to find that now. No, it's just there. Yeah, obviously there's your sort of plasticky rubber washer, or O-ring, whatever you want to call it. So that drops in, and then this screws back in. If I can get it to stay flush while it starts screwing in. There goes that bit as well. There we go, it's starting to screw in now. And then obviously this just, does it pull down? It's not over the top. Yeah, there we go. So that's all back together. No, I haven't played that Stalker experience. I haven't played all that many Stalker mods in recent times at all, to be honest. Right, see if I can flatten my hair down. It looks ridiculous, but as I said, I'll probably Wednesday or so just shave all my hair off again, because it's getting to the length now where it annoys me, because it sticks up if I've been, you know, if I put headphones on or when I'm laying down or anything, it makes my hair stick up. That sounds interesting. It's just I need to be quite careful with stuff like that. Slingshot Warrior being in the UK with how draconian our laws are. There's lots of things that come under the ninja weapons, which are illegal. I just shave all my hair off because it's easier. The inside, the PH gas hood is just like, it looks like a normal mask in the inside, other than the fact it's obviously a cloth, but you obviously have the rings for the lenses, and then you just have where the exhale valve is with the flapper type valve on it. You just have basically a hole on the inside with a little bit you can bite onto if you want to keep it in place. Wow,
I'm not going to say I don't, even if I didn't, would I? Because then I'm admitting to breaking a crime on the internet, which is a really stupid fucking thing to do, Dumizio. If I was the only person in the house, I wouldn't have a TV, simple as, because I don't watch TV. In the UK, you have to pay a TV licence, because the crooked BBC basically know that if they didn't force people to pay a licence, they wouldn't get any funding. Wind scale wasn't that bad. There's been 3 Mile Island was the worst one until Chernobyl. There's also been several other nuclear accidents as well. Wind scale wasn't that bad, it was basically just a fire. The radiation release wasn't very bad at all at wind scale. Look in hardware stores, World War II Alfie. Because in hardware stores they do lots of different RD40 filters for people obviously using for actual kind of what do you call it? You know, like legitimate industrial uses. Well, I did a while ago, and then the Ukrainian Civil War happened, and then that made that very difficult. That's good. Right, don't discuss illegal content on the streams. I don't agree with it, but I'm not saying to break any laws. I have no idea what you're on about. Oh, you haven't been to Chernobyl, I already just said that. Why are you asking? Right, glad you're enjoying World War II, Alfie. From what I understand, Fukushima will be now the world's second worst, worst nuclear disaster. Obviously, prior to Chernobyl, it was 3 Mile Island. Now, it would be Chernobyl be the worst, and Fukushima would be the second, especially because there's still lots of stuff leaking into the sea from that. Alright, that's cool, Reaper. But yeah, in general terms, nuclear energy is a really good source of energy. You just need to have so many safeguards around it. Alright, cool. See you, Stalker experience. Because the problem is with, obviously, nuclear energy, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong if you, do stuff poorly. Yeah, I think most people find gas masks look cool and interesting or frightening or whatever. I've seen very few people that look at gas masks and just go, okay. Most people either think they're cool, or they're scary, or they're weird, People seem to have more of a reaction to it, which is, I guess, why a lot of people seem to like my videos, because when I do a video on a gas mask, there's very few people that would look at a gas mask and just be, indifferent to them. People either think they're cool, or weird, or creepy, or whatever, so there's always a reaction to them. But from what I understand with Fukushima is when people still go around there with Geiger counters, the radiation levels are still pretty damn high, to be honest. Because in some ways, a nuclear accident is a lot worse than nuclear bombs in terms of... Even if you had a ground burst, say, of a hydrogen bomb, you're only going to get really bad radiation for a couple of months with the dust and everything that's sucked into the explosion. In a couple of weeks, the radiation levels are down a lot. Within a couple of months, they're not that bad at all. Unless it's like a salted cobalt bomb or something like that. But with nuclear accidents, you can get like so much burning, sort of fuel rod kind of stuff that you get way more contamination than you ever would with an actually, a single nuclear bomb going off. Yep, the crossbows are still legal over here as well. £45 is very good for an FM12. Yeah, I'd get one for that price, definitely. I'd actually buy an extra one for that price, to be honest. Yes, a GP5M is definitely worth $6, especially if it comes with everything. Nah, the closest to that T55 I listen to is Fine Fluke, if you've heard of them. which are an old German sort of 90s industrial sort of EDM sort of thing, but they like predate a lot of this modern stuff. He already said where he found it in his comment. With my FM12 I got on eBay, but World War II Alfie said in his comment where he found it. Oh, for the people who take a massive interest in me on Social Blade, you might notice that my figures go a bit screwy this month. It's just because I won't say too much, but there's a couple of videos I deleted just in case anything comes of them. They're quite old videos, so a lot of you won't have seen them, but I just deleted them just to be careful with some things that have been in the news. So I'm expecting to lose about 60 to 70,000 views from the videos I've deleted, but I'm just doing it rather be safe than sorry. Semi-automatic rifles in 22 long rifle or less illegal. Shotguns illegal, and there's a couple of restrictions with shotguns which I won't bother going into. And any caliber pretty much in bolt action. But the thing is with all the guns, there's lots of gun laws surrounding them. So, you know, it's not like you can simply just go out and buy the gun. You need the appropriate licenses and storage for that sort of gun as well. Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of fuel rods in power plants, is if they go critical or whatever, they can, yeah, literally melt through everything. The big danger was with Chernobyl that the liquidators contained was that where they originally were dumping loads of sand and stuff onto the fire, it was actually making it super hot. And then the sludge was eating through the floor, and then it would have hit the river, or like a flooded I think it was a flooded compartment underneath the plant where they'd initially released water to stop the fire, or stop the fire spreading. And that would have gone super critical. If it hit that, it'd have been like a hydrogen explosion, which would have, you know, started releasing way more radiation than the original Chernobyl incident would have done. And that would have pretty much wiped out half of Europe eventually in terms of all the radiation that would have kept coming from it. So where a lot of the liquidators gave their lives to, you know, contain that, they were really saving loads of people in the long run, because, you know, they were massively reducing it. But yeah, the problem is with fuel rods is they're actually a lot more dangerous than things like a lot of the, you know, nuclear weapons, because they keep releasing radiation for a much longer amount of time compared to nuclear weapons, which are relatively short term. You can have black powder pistols as well. Double barrel shotguns are legal, yeah, with the right restrictions, as I already said. Well, you need the right license for it, but you can own a working Lee Enfield if you have all the right paperwork. They actually didn't T55. They did an interview some of those recently. Weirdly enough, despite how high the radiation was, all of those lived into quite decent ages. There was an interview with one of them not too long ago. Flintlocks are legal, yes, they're obsolete calibers. But yeah, they had 3 divers go down and release the valves. See if I can find the info about that and post it as a link in the stream. Hang on. Yeah, there's a bit of info on this business insider thing. Let me post it here. There you go. It's worth a read, but yeah, at least one of them's still alive. Because it was saying in the article that a lot of the water was actually drained using hoses before they even went down there. So it wasn't as dramatic as them, you know, all putting on the diving gear and jumping in as you see in some like the reconstructions. They were actually, you know, using long hoses, the firemen, to pump out a lot of the water to begin with, and then they went in, I guess, with protective clothing on and sort of waded through rather than diving. But it's still a very brave thing to do, obviously, and they did save millions of people's lives in the long run. It's very radioactive. I don't know what else to say about the elephant's foot. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. If it's a modern filter and it's safe, there is no danger as long as the filter isn't leaking of wearing it for as long as you want. But obviously, if you're in a contaminated environment, you do have to worry about the filter running out and then, you know, the risks associated with that. But as long as you could personally put up with the mask being on for that long and you could hydrate yourself, there's not a danger, no. The ones that are good, Jack, sure, but I'm not into all of the, you know, loads and loads and loads of them that crop up, especially ones that people pretend are real. That's mostly incorrect. What am I doing with my life? There's lots of laws about carrying knives in public, but you can go into the shop and buy pretty much any knife you want for whatever purposes you want, as long as they're kept in your house, but you're not allowed to walk around with giant knives on you without a reason for carrying them. The laws are pretty complicated and they keep changing them and refining them and, you know, removing more liberties, but the fact is it's a completely made up thing that you cannot buy knives in the UK. Look, let me show you something. Get this drawer open. There's a big bayonet. There's a K-bar style Bowie knife. It's not an actual K-bar, but there you go. Just a minute, we'll get one more out. It's in pretty tight, but just give me a minute. And there's a AK bayonet. So yeah, you can own knives. It's just obviously I couldn't walk around with this on me in the street unless I had a very valid reason for having it on me, and I'd struggle to think why you'd have a valid reason for carrying an AK bayonet on you at all times, but the law lets you own them, especially in your own house. There's ways you can, Jack, sure, but I'm not going to go into them in this video. Lots of the laws are kind of like retail-based laws, not actual proper laws, but yeah, a lot of these, it's basically because when they put a lot of legislation in, shops do need, there's like lots of knee-jerk stuff to, you know, where people don't want to get sued. So it's like, let's say you went into an airsoft shop, they could legally sell you a gun that isn't a two-tone gun, just like that. The thing is that most shops won't cover themselves unless you have a UCARA. That way, you know, like if they knew you and knew you're right, they probably wouldn't mind, because I was actually having a proper chat with a retailer about this when I was in an airsoft shop for about an hour when I bought that M4 I've got. And he was trying to explain all that to me. He was saying that, you know, he can legally sell me whatever he wants. The issue is he's then at risk if I do something that it comes back on him. He's still at risk of that anyway, but if he checks that I've got a UCARA, it mitigates a lot of the risk for him. If that makes sense. Thanks, Peach, I was just about to do that. But thank you for beating me to it. Yeah, that's cool. If the knive's well made and it's not going to break, yeah, why not? I think it's cool that people do projects like that. I like all those sort of things. Calvin. I might at some point, but I'd have to think of something interesting to do T55 that I've not done before, because I don't want to keep making the same videos. And most people who watch my videos watch the gas mask ones. So, basically, you know, if I do an airgun video, it will get less views, and YouTube essentially punishes me for it compared to doing gas mask videos. So I end up making more videos I think the majority of my subscribers want to watch. But if I think of a good idea, yeah, I will do an airgun video. It's just, with the current climate on YouTube, it seems doing airgun and crossbow videos isn't the most sensible thing to do. I'll just leave it at that. Well, I wouldn't recommend making shanks, but as long as you weren't doing anything dodgy with them, Calvin, there's nothing illegal about it. How cheap do you want to go? No, there is not a grenade behind me. Because things like Swiss Army knives are very good and fairly cheap. You know, these are very practical EDC knives. But it really depends what you want in a knife, to be honest. Open L's are also good and cheap. You'd have to say what you want it for, and then I could maybe think of some brands. They're not worth 140 US dollars, no. They're worth money, but they're not worth 140 USD. Well, the more talcum powder you breathe in, the more of a risk you're putting yourself at. Breathing in a bit's not really going to hurt you, but if you breathe a lot in regularly, then you're going to give yourself lung problems. Yeah, it's not hard, just submerge your GP5 in a sink and give it a wipe out with like a J-cloth. Everyday carry, I'd say something like a Victorinox is really good, just Swiss Army knife, just because you've got the knives on there. You've also got the flathead screwdriver and a bottle opener. The model I've got's got the Phillips screwdriver on as well. So this is actually really practical as an EDC knife, because you can use it for a lot of stuff. Under £10 you're not going to probably find an in-date filter for that. You're just going to have to keep checking eBay, that's all I can suggest. The closer a filter is to expiring, the cheaper they generally are, that's the logic. But, you know, you're going to have to budget to what you can afford and what risks you want to take with expired filters. 5 minutes you're definitely not going to have damaged yourself. Jack. The point is, don't keep breathing in talc and stuff like that. Just give the mask a wipe out and it'll be perfectly safe. Easiest way of doing it is getting a J-cloth, making the J-cloth damp so it picks up the dust and the talc. Wipe that around the inside the mask. The mask shouldn't get too damp, it'll take the talc out, let the mask dry. There you go, majority of the talc's out the mask. Oldest respirator I have is probably one of my World War II masks, but I don't know which. A lot of them, the date stamps have actually completely worn off of those now. But a lot of those will be from like 1930 odd, so some of the British World War II ones maybe. Hard to say. Yeah, I don't think you've done any damage to yourself, Jack. I think you'll be fine. Let me just have a quick look on eBay. It says that in the FAQ Eclipse. Oh yeah, thanks Peach. Let me just have a quick look on eBay and see if there are any reasonably priced filters, but of course if you're in different countries they may not ship to you, things will be at a different price. So I can't magically, because a lot of the time people expect me to know everywhere in the world what currently the best deal is on a filter or a mask or whatever like that, and I cannot tell you that, but let me just have a quick look on eBay and see if anything springs up and I'll post the link. I don't know if this is expired, but if it's not, this is a good price. See, this says it's new with tags. Let me just post this. See, this is a good price, if it is actually new with tags as it says. Look at that. That is £9 for a brand new filter, if it is actually correct. And it's being sold by an actual trading company, so, you know, that might be legit. But, as I said, if you search RD40 filter, rather than, like, NATO filter, you generally find a lot better deals, because that's the actual, like, industry term for them. You know. And let me just see if I can find a particle filter on there. I had those on Amazon at one point. Let me check Amazon. I'll try and catch up the comments in a minute if I'm missing a load. Oh, I just saw you're on mic. I might be on a little bit more than 10 minutes, to be honest with you. I'm just helping some people find some decently priced filters at the moment. These have gone up since I bought them, but they're still a good price. If you just want a particle filter, for you know, just using against asbestos, dust, all that sort of thing, this will last you absolutely ages, and that's £9.29. But again, you could get an expired NBC filter for maybe less than that, and that would be P3 and still work. But that Scott filter is very lightweight and convenient just to put on a mask. Yeah, RD40 is the exact same thing as 40mm NATO. It's just that it's like the industry name for it, because they obviously don't say 40mm NATO Stanag for industrial filters, they just call it RD40. So RD40, because if you think about it, military filters shouldn't really be being sold to civilians, especially if they're not expired. So that's why people always complain they can never find cheap, like, surplus filters that are in date, because they wouldn't be surplus filters in date, you know, and all that. But RD40 filters is what they'd be sold as the industrial names. You just need to know the right terminology to look them up under. Well, I really like Soviet SS Lito camo. I like Flecktarn. But on guns, I don't really mind. You know, the entire gun could just be olive drab or whatever, wouldn't bother me. I've already answered that, Eclipse. Learn to listen. I've got an old Microsoft webcam that's 720p, and I'm using OBS Studio. I prefer rubberized CBRN suits because while they're not as comfortable, they're not going to expire on you, and they're a lot better in terms of being waterproof. Right, let me just see if I missed any interesting comments. Not for nerve agents, no, but for blister agents, yes, there are, like, certain creams the military is designed for that. For nerve agents, they have to give you an injection of a thing called atropine, but there's lots of risks associated with that. It's obviously, if you've been exposed to nerve agent, the atropine is the lesser of two evils, but if you just randomly injected yourself with atropine, you could kill yourself that way. I've got an FX9 590 and an RX 480. I'm going to hopefully in July, when AMD release their 7nm CPUs, be buying a new CPU then. Eventually, yeah, but it gets stuck in your lungs for ages, that's why it's risky. I think they just inject it anywhere, don't they? It just gets into you if they get it in your bloodstream, but the whole point is it basically counteracts thing. Because as far as I'm aware, they normally do those like little, what do they call them? Is it something like syrettes they call them? You know, like the throwaway kind of needles with a pre-measured dose in it. They normally do it like that. Where they have like the atropine in like kind of a kit. So you kind of, yeah, you don't inject it straight into your heart. It is just literally like you can inject it anywhere, and the point is it counteracts what the nerve agent does to you, but you're still not going to be in like good condition afterwards. It's just, you know, like give him that and hope you live kind of thing. But yeah, it's not like in The Rock where he has to do that to himself. No, I don't have a fallout shelter. If you open a GP5 filter, you'll be fine, just don't breathe through it. The asbestos inside doesn't have like this magical seek and destroy property, where the moment you open the filter, it will like force itself out of the filter and force its way into your lungs. Asbestos doesn't have magic powers. It's just that, you know, asbestos is dangerous. The more you expose yourself to it, the higher the risk that you'll get lung cancer or more lung defects. The reason asbestos isn't used in anything anymore, or is very heavily restricted, is although it has lots of good properties, as an insulation and being fireproof, we found out that, you know, the more you expose yourself to it, the higher the risk is of cancers. And, you know, in terms of health effects, it's considered not to be worth those risks. Hello to everybody just joining. Yeah, ICBAs. Yeah, I don't think you've got anything to worry about, Jack Bros. Just don't on purposely expose yourself to old asbestos filters. We already posted links for gas mask filters in the chat. It depends, like £10 to £20 for a filter that's within date. Depends what you're looking for in the filter. I enjoyed The Rock, but Nerve Agent does not work like it does in the film. You know, people's skin doesn't go weird or whatever when they're exposed to Nerve Agent. They just kind of they fall over and start convulsing until they die, basically. In actual Nerve Agent experiments. Or whatever. If you're interested in Nerve Agents, a bit like there's all the old atomic test videos, if you're a sensitive person, I wouldn't imagine watching these, but they're public films you can watch. There's old US Army tests where they expose animals to sarin, and there's ones where what they do is they have the animals like all downrange. Some are in like bunkers, some are in like little dugouts, and they like detonate sarin and they let it go downwind, and then they like observe how long it takes the animals to start convulsing and die. So obviously if you're like sensitive, don't watch that sort of stuff. But you know, if you're interested in what Nerve Agent does, you can find a lot of like the US Army sort of tests on it, where, you know, they were trying to work out lethality and, you know, like doses and what would offer you protection and what wouldn't, that way, similar to the nuclear tests. Yeah. But the point was that, you know, if you're exposed to it, you know, even if you're in a concrete building, you're gonna be doomed within a couple of minutes, and that was sarin, not even something like VX. The point is that, you know, unless you've got full NBC gear on, Nerve Agent is really dangerous stuff. But it's similar to the nuclear test, you know, where they had animals chained up and they'd observe at what range they got third-degree burns and what range they'd be torn apart by the blast wave and all stuff like that. I don't know what filter you own. I hate admins. There's no way I can tell you that. As I've already said several times during this stream, Slav Brothers, don't buy it as a as NATO mask. Oh, that's different. Sorry, I thought you were saying NATO filter then. NATO mask. It's gonna depend again what country you're in and everything else, but let me just have a quick search for you on eBay and I can give you an idea of what the current prices are, because prices vary all the time. But obviously I'm ignoring all the Soviet ones coming off. Oh, this is interesting. At the moment, for less than £10, there are 40mm blanking plugs. For anybody who was asking before about, like, they bought an FM12 and it's got two open things. For less than £10 you can get 40mm blanking plugs at the moment. There's several NATO industrial masks coming up for around the £30 mark. There are Draeger M65s for less than 20 quid. How much are some French M51s? They're M51 gas masks for less than 20 quid. So yeah, for less than £20 you can get a mask. For less than 30 you can actually get a fairly good mask. I probably agree with you, Baben, Staben, but I also worry sometimes about giving the state power to do stuff like that. I mean, yeah, if it was people like Ted Bundy or whatever, or BTK, yeah, sure. Do it to them pricks, but, you know. The GP2 is a real mask, but I don't think a GP1 or GP3 existed. Yeah, well, something like sarin, you don't even have to inhale it. It touching your skin does you in. If you inhale it, it kills you faster in less concentrations, but something like sarin, it will go through the pores of your skin and kill you that way. That's why nerve agent is a WMD. No, butterfly knives are illegal in the UK, I can't own them. The closest thing I have to that is a trainer that has like a blunt blade, so you can practice doing the flicking and everything with it, but the actual blade doesn't exist on it. It's just like a blunt piece of metal. I've been sitting at an awkward angle now and I've already hurt my ankle. That's painful. Like I was just saying already in the stream, it would be £10 to £20, €10 to €20 for a working filter. No, if you as long as the mask's in good condition, it will still work. Jack. Oh, that sounds good, Mike. I'll probably have to watch it when I get back from the rehearsal, but I will watch it later if I remember. You already know the answer to that, T55, but I allowed your comment even though it was held for spam, because I know you're a regular poster and you're not doing it, you know, you're doing it as a joke. That PBF that came with the satchel and everything, I think was about £30, but I bought this years and years ago. The new PBF I've got coming that was in like the damaged condition, I think was about £10. Do you mean this mask? This is a PBF, as in Papa Bravo Foxtrot. Right, I'll go for a few more minutes and then I'll stop the stream because I'm hungry. I've not had any proper dinner yet and I need to have dinner before I go out in a couple of hours. If you want to see what German gas masks of World War II look like, Jack Bros, type in GM30 and GM38 as in gas mask. GM, Golf Mike. Right, I'll stay on for another couple of questions and then I'll head off. So if you want to ask any more questions, post them quick. Yeah, if people who are in Eastern Europe can get some of those masks really cheap kicky, like people are saying to me some of the Polish Cold War masks you can buy in Poland for what is the equivalent of like £2 with like the full kit. Over here they cost a bit more than that, but they're still not expensive. They're like £10, £10 to £20 for full kit. Somewhere near 100 gas masks, I would guess, at this point, but I've stopped counting and I do not care to count them up again. Just by spending enough time reading up on stuff, you know, watching documentaries, doing my own research. And now I share that knowledge with the rest of the world, with a disclaimer that I might not be right on everything, so don't take me as 100% factual. I already answered that, Caesar. SS Leto, I'd say. What do you mean, why does the GP5 have 2 holes? I have no idea what you mean by that. Do you mean the intake and the outtake? All masks have to have those. Or do you mean the lenses? That's so you can see out of it. NBC suits for the surplus old Cold War ones about £30. In Britain you can get the Mark III suits even cheaper than that, but they're not going to protect you from much. But yeah, I know B-Store has the Polish L1 and L2 suits, which I like for about £30. I actually like the L1 suit more than the L2 for some reason. I think that's just because it's a bit stretchier in terms of bits, you know, joining up. Or is it the L2 suit? I can't remember now which is the one I like and which is the one I don't like. But I like wearing the top half of one of the Polish NBC suits with waders. That way it's like a more comfortable, more practical way of wearing an NBC suit. Oh, you're thinking of the exhale valve, I think. That's in the FAQ, Anthony. Yeah, you need to get a panoramic lens, Callum. They're eye-phobic, aren't they? I have a Bulgarian, I think it's called a PG1 mask, and I have the Bulgarian, the one that's like an M17, I've forgotten the name of it. But I have 2 Bulgarian masks. If you search on my channel, you'll be able to find the videos of them. Yeah, it's like glue tape stuff. In theory, you don't need that on there. They just use that to hold the mask together before they crimp the metal onto it. Right, I'll finish the stream there. I will answer your last question, Caesar. For a snowsuit, I'd say the old rubberized suits, just because they're going to keep you warmer. But you're still going to need to wear clothes underneath them. Because in a really cold day, if you're not wearing anything underneath, you're still going to feel the cold come through. But the rubberized suits are going to keep you dry if you wear them over the thing. But to be honest, for a snowsuit, I would actually recommend like that Ukrainian camo suit thing I've got more, because that's going to keep you a lot warmer. But glad you enjoyed the streams, everybody. This was quite a fun one to do. I had quite a lot of people watching it throughout the stream. So I don't know, I'm going to mostly be doing webcam streams this week, because the thing is, when I'm doing a webcam stream, for most of the stream I get 30 to 40 people watching it. When I do game streams, often I've got less than 10 people watching it for a lot of the stream. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to finish the stream off now. I will be on tomorrow for a stream, but tomorrow I will be doing it about 8 PM UK time. Like when I normally do streams, but today I did one at this time because I can't do one later on, but I can do one earlier. I might do a stream as well Wednesday, but on Wednesday I might do it even earlier if I'm awake early enough. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and see you all later. Goodbye.